Hello crafty friends, it's Jess from jesscrafts.com, and today I'm going to give you a tour of my desktop area. I'm not going to do a whole craft room tour. To be honest, I find them kind of intimidating because I never know what's too much or not enough to share, and so I thought I would start with a smaller section of my craft room and maybe share more later. My craft room isn't very big, but it does have two desks. I have a craft desk, a large work area, and that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. And then on the other side, I put my computer and monitor and all that jazz on the other side so that I could really have a dedicated crafting space and not have to share it with some of the other tasks that I need to get done. I'll start with just sort of giving you an overall pan of the desk. I start on the left by my window with my Gemini. There's a small set of drawers. In the center, a larger set of drawers, which is where my camera is mounted. And I'm actually filming this on my phone, so I just thought that would be a little bit easier to set up. Hopefully I'm keeping it relatively smooth for you. And then that's, again, my camera setup, and I'll show you a little bit more about the drawers and how that helps my workflow. And then here on the right side of my desk, you can see that I have a heat gun. My scan and cut is underneath that blue owl cover. That is something I sewed myself. I had a hard time finding a scan and cut cover pattern to sew, and so I kind of made one up. It's not super professional, but it is something I could share if you guys are interested. I wouldn't be able to do necessarily a full sewing tutorial, but if you would like to know how you might sew your own scan and cut cover, leave me a comment and I will, try to share it if there's interest. Then I have my ATG, and that gray bag is a large 31 bag, and it has my Copic markers. So here on the left side of my desk, I'm going to try to keep the camera stable as I share things with you so that hopefully it'll make you less sick, but maybe the angles won't always be perfect. So and I'm just going to try to do the compromise between those two things. I have my Gemini Junior. I think it's really important to have your die cutting machine, if you use it frequently, if that's part of your process, right out on your desk, right near where you're working. I work in the center of the desk primarily, and so off to each side I have one of my die cutting machines, my Gemini on this side and my scan and cut on the other, and I have my markers close at hand. Underneath my desk, for some context, are 3 sets of drawers, 2 of the more narrow IKEA Alexes, and a wider IKEA Alex, the one that's on wheels. And there's also another layer to my desk. So there's a large area that has 2 large baskets and my paper trimmer. So my my craft area is super, super condensed, and everything is right at hand. This is a standing desk as well, for context. My computer desk is a sitting desk, but I have a counter height standing desk here, and I find that easier to kind of keep me moving and to encourage my workflow. Behind my Gemini Junior, there's enough room that the plate can come out easily, but at the very, very back, I have a Make It by Marco blender brush holder and a variety of blender brushes from Amazon, Picket Fence Studio, etc. And they are labeled with the Make It by Marco little clips that you can put on them, but some of them are the right color, so that makes it easy as well. I think it's really nice to have those on hand, on display. I find that I do more ink blending that way. It's not something I share as much on my channel, but it is helpful to my card making process. Next up is the little set of storage drawers here. I covered that they were clear plastic drawers. I don't really like open storage. I generally prefer things to be sort of hidden away a bit more, and so I just covered them with some washi tape. They have held up for a few years. They are starting to show a little bit of wear, but I was impressed with actually how long I was able to get out of them, and I think I could probably reinforce it maybe with some packing tape or something. We'll see how I go forward now that I'm starting to show some wear. But it was nice to be able to customize this unit for my room because it is something that I did repurpose. On top of it, I have my iPad. As I mentioned, my computer desk is separate, so if I want to be able to like watch something while I'm crafting or pull up some resources or something like that, it is nice to have the iPad over here, and it's on a stand, so it kind of keeps it at a nice angle for me. Then I also have a sort of a pencil cup. It's just a mug actually, and it has mostly scissors and a couple other tools, like my Apple Pencil is in there to go with the iPad, my bone folder, etc. Things that I reach for, but I really try to keep it pretty limited, and so that way I can actually find what I need quickly. I keep my stamp blocks in the top couple of drawers. I keep some wood-mounted stamps that are designed for the back of cards in there, because it's nice and also mailing supplies like return address labels, stamps, things that if I want to get a card in the mail are helpful. And then there's a few like small kind of computer or scan and cut related things, like the little like spatula, and then or the thing that reads my memory card is in there. Very just small things. It's not my favorite functionality for sure. The other thing that I keep in there that's nice to have at hand is jokes that I've already printed out that I can tape to the inside of the cards that I'm donating. What's nice is the drawers come out completely and slip back in, so I'm able to bag the jokes by their theme, and then I can take it and work on it in a different part of the house, and then if I want, and then slip them back in easily. So that is why I hold on to this unit, because of the super convenience of being able to take the drawers out completely. Next up, we have this larger unit. It can hold 6 drawers. I only have 5 because I have like a few things that I really need to be able to just grab. But in general, like I mentioned before, I do like clothes storage. So in this top drawer here, these are the same sort of foldable cube storages that you might see in the larger units. They're just smaller and designed for this unit itself. I have like sprays and glitter pens and like glitter liquid, different like basically, you know, semi-liquid craft things. My Opaque colorless blender, like the various ink giant refill that can be useful for cleaning, etc. And I also, this is one of the places that I keep the little marker bags that I like to put my Copics in. So when I'm working on a project, I put them in there, and then it stands up and it slides so that you can completely zipper them in. But it's really convenient to be able to group the markers you're working on for a project. And then I have 2 marker bags, so one fits in that one and then one fits down here. This next bin includes some dry adhesives. Like I do have some foam tape on hand. I don't use it very often, but it's helpful for shaker cards. Otherwise, I like to use stacked cardstock, which if you watch my channel, you know I mention it all the time. But I know sometimes people see these tours and they don't see the rest of your channel. So if you take 2 pieces of your thick scrap cardstock and you glue that behind things instead of foam tape, you can save yourself some money. And my painter's tape, things like that. And then these are all corner chompers. These are quite old, but they really chomp through a lot of material. And so I would get corner punches when I first started crafting. They were super trendy, and they would just dull over time. And I tried things like using tin foil. Like if you punch into tin foil, it's supposed to sharpen them. And I never was really happy. But I got these, and I've had these for over 5 years for sure. And they've never let me down, and they punch through really thick material. So as much as I can get rid of many, many punches, the corner rounders, I still come back to them and like to use them. They have a couple of different designs there. So that's kind of the extent of, there's 2 circle punches in there as well, and that's the extent of my punch collection. So in the top center, the things that I like to have on hand, be able to reach for at any time, is my Barely Art glue, and it's sitting in a glue lounger from Make It by Marco. she did gift me that, but I also have purchased some of her products in the past and have been very happy with them, and I do really like how that keeps my glue ready to go at all times. And then I have a spray bottle filled with water and a spray bottle filled with alcohol. And the alcohol is so that you can work with alcohol inks and also to clean up alcohol inks, particularly Copics. A lot of people think when they think alcohol inks, they think like the squeeze ones from Tim Holtz, and people do many beautiful things with that. But I like it to have it on hand to clean up after Copic messes. That's kind of my primary purpose with it. And then, of course, the spray bottle can be for cleaning and for water techniques like with distress inks. To keep going, in the center here, I have washi tape. This is all the washi tape that I own, and I try to keep it limited to just this bin, and I usually only use it to kind of seal envelopes. But then there's a couple of various things, like I mentioned, I decorated my drawers with washi tape. I use it for my Misty magnets to make it easier to pick them up by, I'll just show you real quick. Sorry, this might be a little bit out of frame, but I'm going to grab a Misty magnet. And as you can see, I put the washi tape over the round disc magnet, and I let it hang off the sides a little bit, and that allows it to be easy to pick up. But I'm not a washi tape fanatic by any means. I don't really use it, so I try to keep it contained. And then in here, these are kind of an interesting thing that I'm sure not a lot of crafters have, but I really like the Copic color, but I don't always have time to use all of the images, or I color a whole sheet and then realize I don't need that many for a card, but I often will still cut them out with my scan and cut. And so these are just kind of ready-made colored images that are ready to go. And they're in plastic bags. This is definitely not the ideal storage. They're kind of just in plastic bags and then tossed in here. So it works for me. It's not a big deal, but if you have a different storage solution, if you're also someone who colors and die cuts images without making cards with them, please let me know in the comments. But I like to have them close at hand, because if I put them in a drawer somewhere else that's not on top of my desk, I will just literally forget about them forever. Then this bin here has all of my pre-cut card bases and like card size cardstock and envelopes and just other like small ready to go pre-cut things that will help you for assembling cards. So I have like some is watercolor paper, and some is just my extra thick cardstock, and some is thinner cardstock, and there's even a few specialty cardstocks that I have that, because of the way I bought them, they were in a pre-cut size. My Simon Says stamp pre-printed sentiments also kind of fit well in here, so it's kind of like a smorgasbord, and having those pre-cut card bases can really help my process. This last one here is also one that may be a bit unusual. The back half kind of makes sense. I have in here my 6x6 background stamps and my embossing folders. I try to label everything as much as possible, just so that if I were to use it in a video and somebody asks me what it is, or if I want to let them know ahead of time. My 6x6 stamps, I've kind of tried different things over the years, and if I remember, sometimes I just keep their packaging and I cut the top off, and then it can slip in and out. This packaging will wear down over time, like it'll start ripping at the corners. When it does, or if I forget to save the packaging, I take a quart-size Ziploc bag and I cut the top off. You can leave the top on, and I did that for a number of years, but I just found like it took up more room in the storage system because the thickness of the zip top of the bag, and therefore I just started cutting it off and slipping it in and out instead. So nothing super fancy there. They do, like, you can buy more of these plastic things, but since I already have zip top bags quart size on hand, for storing my 6x6 papers, or just, for life, because, I use freezer bags to store meat and whatever else in the kitchen. I would just prefer not to buy something special for that. The other thing I think maybe is a little bit kind of another weird thing that I do, is sometimes I will stamp images, and I will stamp extra. So like if I'm using it for one particular card, but it's already in my MISTI, these aren't a great example because it wouldn't be that hard to take these out again. But if I have set up, let me see if I can find a good example of it. Maybe this is a better example. Like if I've set up all of these to fit really well in my MISTI, it's sometimes nice to stamp a couple of extra, so that next time I want to use that stamp set, I don't have to pull out my MISTI and line everything up. I can just kind of come here. It's not always time saving, but if you're using a lot of images from the stamp set, like particularly even behind here is an even better example. Getting all the little tiny stamps from a stamp set and arranging them in your MISTI and stamping them down can take quite a bit of time, so stamping a few extra can be helpful. And in that way, the main reason I started doing it, though, to be honest, is again because I like to color, but I don't always want to finish a card with it. And so if I'm I just want to color something, and I need to sort of be able to be quick about it and not think about all my stamp sets, I'll just pull something from this file and color it in. And I'll just color a whole stamp set, and then one day it'll get used on a card, and when I'm maybe not feeling as creative, I'll just be able to go to that and grab those pre-colored images. This might get a little bit shaky because the camera is now in my hand, but I do have two lights here that are quite, they can be quite bright, and they can provide a really sort of white light, which is great, but they're kind of harsh. I wish they were maybe diffused a bit more, and so they are something that I'm probably going to replace. What is nice is they do have several modes so that you can make it like a softer reading light or a brighter white light for when you want that. Now my camera is on a tripod, and then it's attached with this handmade from literal scraps of wood, and it's basically creating an angle. So these are two triangle pieces, and the tripod slips through there such that I can achieve the correct angle. So nothing fancy. Like I said, literal scraps of wood. We didn't purchase them for the project or anything, and the tripod I had on hand. This is another, so I mentioned my desk is a standing desk, which means that because I'm kind of short, I can't see what I'm filming, but this is a mirror that is meant to go on a bike so you can see behind you, and we weren't using it anymore. We kind of did an upgrade there, and so this will allow me to see what my camera is filming. And I used to be able to kind of just stand up and I'd be able to see it, but because I have a standing desk, this has been a good solution for me. So it's just it's meant to wrap around the handle of a bike, but in this case it's just wrapping around the handle of my tripod. Just wanted to share that because I could see maybe that being a sort of low-cost, simple solution that could help someone. This last chunk of my desk, I have my Scan and Cut. As I mentioned, it is underneath that dust cover, and again, as I mentioned, if you're interested in finding out how to sew that, let me know and I'll try to share it in the future. But when I want to use it, I can pull out the mats, I can move things off my desk, but generally it's fine to stay stored back there. I only ever need it for a few minutes at a time, and I prefer to have the dust cover because I noticed when it was sitting in a sunny spot in my room, there was starting to be some discoloring to it, and I could see that potentially damaging the machine. I'd obviously prefer not to do that. It's a little bit of a pricey machine. I think it's 100% worth it for me personally because of its functionality, but I do want to keep it in good shape with that in mind. So next to that, I have this flower, this thing here. It is magnetic. It's a magnetic stand from Twiddler's Nook. She has a couple of different designs. I got this kind of early on when she had less designs, but it allows you to stick a variety of things to it. In this case, I chose my favorite size banner dies, and I leave them out on my desk so that when I do want to make a sentiment really quickly, I don't have to dig through and find the right size, because these are actually from several different sets. Some of them are Whimsy stamps, some of them are Cat Scrappiness. It might be only those 2 sets for now, but I have one from MFT that I'm going to put into the rotation too. And then that way I can just kind of really quickly pull it. It's been one of my favorite time-saving things. Again, I don't really like having things out. I kind of prefer to put them away, but in this case, I really felt like it was worth it. Behind that is my heat gun. It's plugged in underneath my desk, so it's accessible at any time. Then my ATG, I kind of have 2 ways that I like to store it. Sometimes I like to keep it out on my desk like this, but I also have a place for it inside of my drawers. And this is a stand that holds it from Make It by Marco, and she gifted that to me. But as I mentioned before, I have purchased other products from them. I do like her products in general. They're high quality, and it's nice to be able to have it take up less space than if I were to just lay it flat on my desk, and it would feel more messy. I'm going to switch back to holding my camera to show you this last thing, which is my Copic marker bag. This is a 31 bag. It's the medium tote. I'll try to link it in case anyone's super interested, but this is, a lot of the stuff on my desk has kind of been collected over the years and isn't very accessible, but I will try to link anything that I can find that is available that anyone might be interested in. If I miss something or you have a question, of course, please leave me a comment. I would be more than happy to try to help you out. This is my full marker collection. I used to, and I built for myself a shelving unit that held them, but it was stationary. It was really hard to pull my markers to any other place in the house. And if you've watched my videos, you know that I don't only craft in my craft room. I like to have options. I like to be able to be with the family and things like that. So I wanted to move to a more mobile solution. These are units from Michaels. They each have 4 compartments, and I grouped mine by color generally, like my G's and my YGs are together. My blues and my blue-greens are separate just because I found that I had a lot of blues. All my grays are together, my browns, etc. So these 2 units fit in the bag, but they also come out, which I will attempt to show you. They can be, it is a pretty tight fit. So that unit can sit separately if needed. It is a little bit tricky to see the colors when they're in the larger bag because there's such a large amount of lip. So sometimes I will take them out like this, but a lot of times I do honestly just leave them in the bag and I reach for them. I'm more familiar with my colors at this point because I've owned my Copics for years and years, and so I can kind of just go, oh, I know I'm going to pull out the Y1 family or the BG5 family or whatever, and I can grab them and go. But it is nice to have this other option as well. Then I keep a few more things in the bag for coloring on the go. Normally there's a clipboard in here. It is downstairs with some Copic markers because, like I said, I like to be able to be on the go. Here are some images that I've printed out, mostly digital images that I've colored, and so that way if I grab my bag, I didn't mention I have like back over here I have images that I've already stamped out ready to go that are sorted. These ones are kind of just a mishmash. But that way, like, remember, like, I just want to color, but I don't want to be in my craft room, or I can't be in my craft room. I can just grab the whole bag and go with it, and I'll know I have something to color. I have my hex chart from Sandy Alnock to help me with my colors, and like I said, usually a clipboard so that I can color on something. Alright, so that is it for my desk tour. I hope that some part of this was helpful for you and that it wasn't so long that you got incredibly bored. Maybe there was a couple of helpful tricks and at least kind of gave you a peek behind the scenes at my process. I really appreciate you taking this time to spend with me today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in more crafting tutorials, be sure to subscribe to my channel. On my channel, I like to work if you're not familiar, with 6x6 papers a lot, and I share a lot of templates and how to use up supplies, and that's kind of my focus. You can also find a couple of more crafting organization videos on my channel, and I'll try to leave you some links to those, links to the products I mentioned, and some videos again here at the end. So if you'd like to see more, thank you. Have an awesome day. Leave me any tips that you came up with along the way or any questions down in the comments. Have an awesome day. Bye.